Good afternoon, preppers. Welcome to our next edition of Goshen Prepping. Listen, I want to give you some practical advice because as far as anything goes, discussing things, going into topics, practicality is the key. And I think it's one of the center core things that we put out in Goshen Prepping. Because when it comes to preppers, and you could actually even side in the side of conspiracy theorists, but you often find they connect together, preppers love rabbit holes. Okay, and they love the rabbit holes because, let's be honest with you. They describe rabbit holes as situations where their eyes are opened and things start unfolding and they're like, now I'm making connections. And I'll be honest with you, in a lot of those situations, connections are there. And of course, even if you didn't know, the term rabbit hole comes from Alice in Wonderland, because once Alice went down the rabbit hole, she finds herself in a brand new world that's like, wow, look at this. Everything basically is open. It should be like take the red pill with Neo in the Matrix. That'd actually be more appropriate, but that idiom quite hasn't caught on. Okay, so once your eyes do open, and I find that, of course, the majority of the Americans, or a majority of the people anywhere around the world you're watching these videos, most people their eyes are closed when it comes to preparedness. They believe that the government's there to take care of them. They believe that grocery stores will always have food and meat magically grows in a styrofoam container. At least according to Bill Gates, it does. Okay. However, once your eyes open, realize, wow, I need to protect myself. I need to protect my family, my friends, all my loved ones. Your eyes start opening to, wow, everything is not so cherry and blue roses and flowers and everything else. Okay. So these rabbit holes, it makes sense to jump down them because you know what? You already went down one rabbit hole. That's why you're a prepper. But I will caution you. And the thing is, you should be cautioning yourself, always taking a word of caution before you go down to another rabbit hole. And the thing is, the rabbit holes basically give you a life where you say to things like, there's no such thing as coincidences. And that is true. And you should investigate rabbit holes to an extent, but there's a time and place for it. And I find that more times than not, these rabbit holes, so to speak, really are just a rabbit hole, and there's no connections there that should have been made in the first place. In fact, going down those particular rabbit holes is actually dangerous for you and me. Great example. In case you didn't hear, in Ohio, there is a big train wreck, and that big train wreck, lots of toxic chemicals released. They did a controlled burn for whatever reason, dumped the chemicals into the aquifers and the waters, and in the specific riparian areas, you may have seen the videos, but apparently some congressman, I think it was, threw like a rock or a log in the water, and up you come seeing a whole bunch of like colorful rainbows on top of the water, showing you that these toxic chemicals are there and they're now seeping into the soil. Not to mention, this actually supplies 10% of the nation's water. So we want to be able to look at those situations, especially as preppers, and here's where the practicality comes into it. Listen, we've been prepping. We talk about stockpiling water. We talk about having certain water filters and having things ready because when those things happen to the average Joe, they're stuck. They're in a long line at the grocery store hoping to buy bottled water when there is none available because they waited to the last minute. The practicality is far more important sometimes than knowing specifically what's causing those in the first place. Now, the rabbit hole is, the railroad did this on purpose. The rabbit hole is, it's just another way to contaminate our water so they can control the population. The list goes on and on. And I'm not saying all of that's not true. It very well may be true. But here's where the problem comes in. And this is actually where the dangerous part kicks in. Now, since that train wreck happened, we have been seeing news report after news report after YouTube video after YouTube video about trains derailing all across the country. Wow, could this be true? Now train derailing everywhere? It is true. Do you understand that there's over 1,000 train derailments that take place every year? That's more than 3 train derailments a day. But you know what happens is, you go out and buy a brand new blue Honda Civic, and suddenly you start noticing, wow, look at all the blue Honda Civics everywhere. Once your eyes are open in that particular area, then you're like, oh my gosh, look what's happening here. There's train derailments. The government's trying to kill us all, which again may be true. But sometimes you have to sit back and simply say, oh, maybe it's because my eyes are open now to blue Honda Civics. That's why I see them. It's not like those blue Honda Civics appeared out of nowhere. Do you understand? There's your analogy. So in this situation, yes, there are train wrecks. And a lot of the train wrecks, people are making such a big deal out of just these small train wrecks with just a few cars going off the tracks. Oh my gosh, another train wreck. Stop jumping down those rabbit holes because it's dangerous. How about first off, you focus on the practicality of the situation. You know what? I saw that big train wreck. That tells me maybe I should prep a little bit more and be ready for this. Okay. Now, the second rabbit hole that people jump down, of course, is the Chinese spy balloon coming across. And Man, I'll tell you, the government loved this one, these conspiracy theories and rabbit holes and basically getting people hook, line, and sinker. Wow, a big balloon floated across the United States. We'll let it go across and take all these pictures of sensitive military information bases, and then we'll shoot it down after the fact. That is the problem. That is, in reality, a conspiracy theory. It's not a conspiracy theory. What the heck's going on? Either our government, and I'm not talking about just Biden, because obviously with him, or either our government is so dim-witted, or they're doing this on purpose, or they have ties with China, or fill in the blank. But that's where it should have been. At that point, you should have stopped and said, what can we do to prep for this? What can we do? Because maybe they're actually surveying our nuclear silos to look for a first or second strike capability. Prep for nuclear. So we should have a practical reason for doing this. We should be ready for this, because that was not by accident they sent that balloon across the United States. Man, they could navigate the thing and steer it right across some of our sensitive military bases. But what's the rabbit hole? Now suddenly, oh no, another balloon in the Yukon. Trudeau, let's shoot it down. You know, of course, everything he does is ridiculous. We have another one in Montana, but wait, it disappeared. We have something that goes over Lake Huron, but wait, we're going to call it a UFO. UFOs are everywhere now. And it's funny how we went from a very probably serious condition of a Chinese balloon across the United States to now everybody making these connections, going down these rabbit holes and saying, oh my gosh, look at the balloons everywhere. How about you focus on the first problem instead of actually worrying about all the other train derailments, trying to get you off the attention of the big train derailment, all these other balloons and UFOs. Oh, not even just balloons anymore, but UFOs were being invaded, instead of taking away from the original problem, and that was the main balloon coming across in the first place, or the lack of our administration actually taking care of the problem. Do you see the problem in this? Stop going down all the little distraction rabbit holes, and let's focus on the big one. And this article, which just came out today, proves exactly what I'm saying. While Americans obsess over UFOs, China is determined to become the sole superpower by 2049. And what a great article. From 1999 to 2004, China waged an unrestricted war on U.S. manufacturing that erased 3.7 million American jobs from the economy. It created a $400 billion annual trade surplus by abusing cheap labor, even slave labor, and deceptive business practices. And, worse yet, the country even holds over $1 trillion of America's debt while stealing over $500 billion of our intellectual property each year. And that's as far as I'm going to go with the article, because it definitely proves the point. And showing that, especially when it comes to media, and I always say this all the time, mainstream media, yeah, they put out garbage stuff all the time. But it doesn't mean you can't go on Rumble or YouTube or wherever and find garbage information there too. Because as humans, especially when your eyes are open to prepping, it's very easy to jump down these rabbit holes and focus on all these distractions. Oh, look, another balloon. Oh, look, another train derailment, whatever the case may be, instead of focusing on the main problems which we are not taking care of. So while Biden is overseas in Ukraine playing little buddies with Zelensky, he didn't even visit the people in Ohio and try to even pretend to give a darn about as far as what's going on there. And by the way, I have to say darn because YouTube just gave me a warning to not say curse words on here. Okay, YouTube, whatever. So he doesn't give a darn about the people in Ohio. He doesn't give a darn that our aquifers and riparian areas are now poisoned with this train derailment stuff. And to basically distract this whole thing, have you seen this? While he's actually walking through with Zelensky, air raid sirens go off. Uh-oh, they're about to be attacked? No, it was all for show. They simply did that because even notice they didn't actually act excited at all. They're just kind of like, oh, look, air raid sirens, who cares? Secret Service was like, no big deal. Obviously, the whole thing's staged. And that's what this comes down to, is they're staging all these things, including through mainstream media, all these train derailments and how everything's under attack and stuff. Stop jumping down the rabbit holes. Okay, now we need to investigate them. One quick thing, because remember when we talked about all the different types of factory fires, especially for our food, a company who actually researches this statistically said that this is well above and beyond what we would normally see as far as factory fires. That's a thought for concern. But it doesn't matter through all of this. If it's true rabbit hole or a fake rabbit hole, it comes down to, and that's what I'm going to end with, practicality of the information. It doesn't matter what kind of rabbit holes are out there. What matters is prepping. What matters is what you do for you and your family as far as stockpiling, having water filters, having things to protect yourself in case there's a toxic gas leak in your area, or whatever the case may be. The list goes on and on. Because that's what we're about in Goshen prepping. We'll investigate things to be warned, but don't jump down the rabbit holes. Don't go in fear. Prep so you don't have to live in fear in these situations. Thanks for watching.